Hi there. So when I talk about a routine, because you'll have a lot of people tell you, oh, just do some deep breathing and get relaxed before the test, which is fine, except that, long story short, when you're going into a test, there's this feeling that starts rising in your body because there's a part of you that's thinking this is life and death. When you do that, you turn on a triggering mechanism that literally takes you back. You don't even know it's happening because it's subconscious, but it takes you back to a point in your life when something maybe horrible at the time, or maybe just distressing, but something happened that put your body in that fight or flight mode. And it felt so bad for whatever reason. And feeling bad can be, if you're a little 2 year old with a teddy bear and that's the only comfort you've got, and somebody takes your teddy bear away, that's freaking trauma. Make light of it, other people, if you want to, but it is. And so it's never what happened to you, it's what your brain interpreted it to mean later on, which is why it's so hard when people say things like, oh, that happened when you're a kid, just get over it. Like, if we knew how to, we would. It's not like we want to carry this stuff around feeling bad for no reason. But those are programs that are laid down early in our life to keep us safe. And they will keep running under the surface and only popping up when they think they're being helpful or until they start being so disruptive in your life that you recognize them. And then hopefully you find somebody to help you to get through that, to get past it, to let it go, to rewrite a new program that works better for what you want in your life now. So those are the things that come up for the anxiety before a test. And truly, this sounds so weird, but the best thing you can do in a test is to realize that it's a snapshot in time that's meant for the school, not for you. It's not going to do anything, seriously, it's not going to do anything positive for you, except give you, if you pass, it's going to give you that moment of feeling accomplished and successful and as if you've overcome something. Because from theory to the end, everything in the middle is really amorphous. And it's like you are always building speed in the background, but you will never know that. And we think, oh, we take the test and that proves that I'm making progress. And it kind of does, but usually, this is weird, it's after the fact. By the time you pass 120, you're already writing, sometimes accidentally fast when you're trying to catch up, at 140 or 160. You're always actually writing way faster than the test you just passed. How can that be? Because if you weren't writing faster, you wouldn't have that little bit of nano time to anticipate the word that you're hearing and how best to write it subconsciously. When you're in 80 words per minute or 100 words per minute, you got time to sit there and figure out how to write everything. But at 140, 180, 225, you don't have time for that. It's got to become automatic. And there's a part of your brain that wants to criticize everything you do. It's the part that's in the middle of the test. It'll start chattering and saying, there's a brief for that. You messed up. You might as well quit because you failed already. That part. It, I love it because it's kind of insecure and it kind of is like a bully sometimes. But unfortunately, and I've asked therapists, it's the part of our brain that we can't get rid of. There were times literally in tears, like, how does he get rid of that part of my brain? No, it's the part that analyzes. It's the part that finds solutions and creative solutions sometimes for problems. It's the part that it's kind of funny. It works on goals and setting timelines and things, but how can I explain it? Your conscious mind, that part, the part that helps you learn theory, it can process 126 bits of information per second, which sounds pretty fast, especially when you hear it up there talking. But your subconscious, which is where you're putting every bit of your steno, I'm assuming your steno, maybe your mask, it doesn't matter, but because you're still memorizing things, shortcuts, macros, briefs, call them what you want. But every single stroke you've ever written on a machine goes into your subconscious and it's memorized. It becomes its own gigantic program of how to write things. It's just like when you learned how to drive a car and how terrifying it was at first because you couldn't remember where all the moving parts were. And then that first time you had to merge onto the freeway, which was faster than you felt comfortable going. And then as you practiced more and more and more, you realized there were times when you're on the freeway and you get to where you're going and you don't even know how you got there because you don't consciously remember it because it was practiced so much that it's literally a program of driving the car. It's in your subconscious and it will go on automatic pilot and take you to where you had set your destination by conscious thought. And you won't remember because remembering is laid down with with your conscious mind and automatic response is from your subconscious. And so you're behind that machine and you're practicing, which gives you a better idea of why I'm practicing. I'm practicing to lay down all of those infinite number of combinations of words that I'm going to hear throughout my career to make them more automatic. Because if I've never written that, or I've never written that in that combination of words, it's going to slow me down. It's going to make me hesitate because it's not automatic. And think about it. In the practicing, you're getting new material all the time. But I've been reporting for 46 years. There will always be a combination of words or a word that you have never heard before. And it will make you hesitate because it's unfamiliar. The brain doesn't like anything that's unfamiliar because it assumes wrongfully that if something is unfamiliar, that it must be a threat or a danger, and we must be on the alert. So back to your conscious mind can process 126 bits of information per second. Your subconscious can process 2 million. There's no comparison between the two. But this one is not, your subconscious is not insecure. It really doesn't care. It just says, give me the information, tell me what you want, tell me who you are. I'll make your life congruent with who you think you are in the moment. And I will do whatever it is I think you're asking me to do. Easy, no filters, no nothing, no judgment. Up here in your conscious mind, it is constantly feeling like in order to show its validity and its value, it has to criticize and it has to be the boss and it has to know everything. So it has to interrupt you when you're writing to show that that other part of you that's so damn fast can't possibly be perfect because there's a brief for that. Oh, look, and it knows there's a brief for that because it wrote it once as a brief, but then it wrote it out and then it wrote it out in a totally different way. And I have to interrupt even during a test to tell it it's writing inefficiently. So one of the practices I have is before we take a test, before you even go into practice, is to tell that part of us that you have a lot of really great skills, but writing fast is not one of them. But where I really need you is when I try to transcribe and figure out what was I trying to write here? Is there a period there? Is there a comma there? When the hell do I use a semicolon? That's when I need you because I've got time to listen to you chatter and to help me figure out what's the best way to finish the transcript. But the writing of the transcript, honey, we got to let the subconscious do that. It's the only way we're going to get the best notes possible. So I always think of it as me and my conscious chattery mind got to get out of the room. Okay, I've got to kind of put my body out there in front of the machine. So we've got a body operating the machine, but I got to get out and my conscious mind's got to get out of the way so that the subconscious can write everything however it wants to write because it knows the fastest way in any circumstance to write everything. In fact, I have a theory that in 120, you're already writing at 225 words per minute in your mind because there's no physical restraint with having to have your body do the reaction time. Your mind is what, faster than the speed of thought. So if only we didn't have to use our body to type at increasingly fast speeds. So there are a lot of different practices I ask people to do before they sit down to practice or before they sit down to take a test to make it a routine, to lay down a new practice, to lay down a new habit, a routine, a program, because there is a program running already. And that program probably says something like, who do you think you are? Why did you ever start this? When did you think we were ever going to get out of school? Look at everybody else passing tests, but you're not. Look at that stupid mistake you made on that test. If you hadn't done that one mistake, you would have passed. That just proves how stupid you are. You're not ready for this. You're never probably going to ever be ready for this. Why can't you just do what everybody else is doing? Because you can't. That voice. And that's my voice. So I'm sharing it with you, thinking that there are probably a lot of similarities in there. That voice that slows us down, that holds us back, that makes us question why we started doing this. Because, and I just did a video about this recently, because your why that got you to start school is the very thing that will take you to the end. And when you said, oh my God, I can do that, I want to do that, that moment, in that moment, was your proof that you can do this, even if it feels bad and yucky and you're stuck at whatever speed you think you're stuck at. You're just stuck because you're not getting the results you want as fast as you want them. And that's kind of who we are. We're over driven, overachievers. We're used to working hard and having things the way we want them. And now we're working hard. And why isn't it always happening the way I want it? And in what universe did 94% become a fail? It's just, it's just the way it is. So when I talk about routines and I talk about practices, I'm talking about laying down a new program that is so deep and so solidified that it will override the original program of making you panic, allowing you to feel distracted by the feelings in your body, the words in your head, the doubt, the frustration, um, the thing that doesn't allow you to make a mistake without it having to comment about it. Well, I don't need you to comment about a mistake. It's like, first of all, it's just somebody told me this once. I love it. It's like he came by and I was putting stuff in my dictionary and he said, "Why didn't you put that in your dictionary? Why didn't you global that?" And I said, "Well, because it was wrong." And he said, "Well, what do you mean it was wrong?" I said, "Well, it's not like a perfect outline." And he said, "Well, why did you write it that way?" And he said, "Well, because they were talking really fast." And he said, "Don't you understand that if you wrote it that way fast one time, the next time that word comes up and it's going too fast, you're going to write it again that way?" And I thought, well, that sounds stupid, but okay, get him away from my desk. I went ahead and put it in my dictionary. 35 years later, in a hypnosis class, I would learn that he was absolutely right, that that was my brain knowing theory, trying to tell my hands how to write it, and my hands weren't quite going fast enough. And they might never, because we're talking 280, 300 words a minute. There is an upper limit, maybe, to those of us. There's a comfort limit anyway. I haven't practiced enough to feel competent and confident at 295 words a minute. So whenever I hit that speed, I'm not going to write as accurately as I would at 140 or 160 or 180 or wherever I have hit my absolute competent level at that speed. It's always going to be sloppy. And so but it's always, I just thought it was different crap every time that I wrote that word fast. No, it's relatively the same because your mind is still trying to direct your hands to do what it wants it to do. And the physical limitations are still there. So embrace the crap that you write fast. That's how you're writing it fast now. And when you push up another 20 words per minute, it's going to still be falling apart when it's faster than your skills can allow, which is why we always want to push, push, push. And I hope you're at a school, whoever you are out there listening to this, that tells you it's okay. Not only is it okay, but it's desired. If you're trying to test at 200, you should be practicing at 40 to 60, 40, 50, 60 words per minute faster than your test goal speed. So if you're trying to pass 100 tests, you should be practicing at 140, 150, or 160 words per minute, which sounds terrible. And when you're trying to do it, it will really be frustrating and feel self-defeating because you can't. Of course you can't. We're not asking you to write at that ridiculously high speed accurately. We're asking you to do it at sustained levels so that, first of all, your body gets used to how much faster your fingers are going to have to write at that speed. But also, it's training your hearing to hear faster at that speed, which means if you can hear faster, you can write faster. If you can move your hands faster, you have a chance of hearing the word, analyzing the word, and writing the word faster because you have a little bit of time to do that because you're used to hearing it faster. You're used to trying to move your hands faster. So when you're not moving them as fast, you've got that nanosecond of processing time. So the base routine, the thing that will, and it doesn't sound like it could possibly help anything, but it's what I do after 40 years. Every single time I sit down to do a job, and I've got a job coming up in about an hour or so, and I might as well do this now. But I mean, I use essential oils. You don't have to, or literally, if you've got an orange peel with orange oil or any citrus, actually will ground you. So if you have any um, essential oils, they're great, but you don't have to. But I literally sit there for a few minutes, just allowing myself to breathe at whatever rhythm that is. And you're actually deliberately breathing because you're consciously aware of your breath as you're doing it. You don't have to count and you don't have to worry about, am I breathing right? I mean, I promise you, if you're breathing and you're not falling over dead, you're breathing right. For the essential oils, you want to get yourself to a state of complete, total, grounded relaxation. And then I use them as an anchor. Literally, you can anchor to a scent so that then anytime in the future, you can smell that smell and you will go right back to that physiological reaction. It's like why realtors use the smell of baked cookies in houses they're trying to sell because it triggers a program that was laid down that say cookies means home, cookies means comfort, cookies means, I don't know, maybe somebody loves me and somebody's taking care of me. All things in the world are good. Till the other program comes in that says, yeah, and you shouldn't eat them. That's another program. So I get myself in a place, breathing, breathing. What does the breathing do? Well, it oxygenates your blood. Yeah, it gets more oxygen to your brain. Yeah, but really what it's doing is it's tricking the part of you that's used to going into a test thinking, oh my God, this is a bad thing that's going to happen. Whenever your body, your mind thinks there's a bad thing that's going to happen, you go into an anxiety mode, which is basically fight or flight. But we got nothing to run away from. We can't if we're going to take the test or to fight. And sometimes we're fighting our machine, we're fighting the writing. but there's nobody to fight. There's no actual real enemy to fight. Um, Fight or flight. My favorite is freeze. Nobody told me about that because I'm writing and I come across a word I'm not familiar with, or I start thinking about something from the past, or I just heard a word in that last sentence and it triggered something in me. I don't know, and I freeze. I literally freeze. My hands stop writing. That ain't good when you're trying to write fast. So I'm trying to get my body to understand that we're not in a dangerous situation. We're actually safe. When we trick that part of us by breathing deeply, slowly at our determined pace, whatever that is, and it tricks your mind into thinking you're safe ahead of time. If you can get to that place, and you can do this before you're even practicing, before you're even in front of the machine, to just feel that total relaxation. And some of my videos, some of my, especially my hypnosis for focus, I'm writing it down, focus and confidence, that will help you to practice getting into a place of relaxed focus and confidence. You get to that place, and then you can use the essential oils at that moment of peak feeling that relaxation, just to smell it for a second. Just breathe it in and do it 3 times. Just to allow yourself to feel where you are, to feel your body in the chair, to feel the air in the room around you, to feel the essence of the lights that are on in the room, to hear whatever sounds are happening around you, and to tell yourself those sounds will only operate to make you actually go into a deeper focused sense of concentration, of allowing the knowing of how to write things to come up automatically. That you can trust the practice you've done to be able to get out of the way to allow fast writing to happen. And to remember that if you're in 140, say, you only have so many tests that you are going to pass, and then you're going to be done. They don't tell you that when you start school. And they also forget to tell you there are like hundreds of thousands of tests that you're going to take and you're not going to pass. It's supposed to be that way. They didn't tell you that, did they? So you think, oh my gosh, I didn't pass. That means I'm not good enough. I failed. And if your subconscious is like mine, and we're all alike, it's going to pop up every once in a while and say something really brilliant. Like, from what I can tell, what you're really, really good at is failing tests. And I'm an amazing fortune teller. I can tell you what's going to happen tomorrow. All it's got is based on what happened yesterday, all the yesterdays before. And it's taking all the tests that you didn't pass compared to the number that you did pass. And it's saying, statistically speaking, you're going to fail tomorrow. Well, that's ridiculous. If that was true, then you would have never passed any of the tests in the past. But you did. So I love you, chattery brain, but I don't need you in this test that I'm going to give my all to tomorrow in the opportunity that I have. It's kind of what I do. And my goal when I started school wasn't to take a whole bunch of tests that I passed. My goal when I started school was to be out and working. So why don't you keep your eye on that prize and let me deal with showing up for the test and doing the best I can and not beating myself up whether I pass or whether I don't. But every time I pass, I'm going to celebrate. It doesn't have to be expensive, just unique and unusual. Something where you're telling your subconscious, hey, that feeling, that great feeling I've got right now, yeah, that one. I want more of that. This moment of knowing I passed that test, that makes me happy. That's the thing I want you to give me more of because it makes me happy. So that we've got no doubt your subconscious knows what you want so that it can help to override those moments when you get up in the morning and you accidentally tell yourself, oh God, okay, I'm going to go and practice again like I practiced yesterday, and I'm still stuck in wherever I am. And your subconscious says, oh, okay, oh, you're stuck. It forgets what yesterday was. So you had an opportunity to tell it who you are, but instead you drifted back to who you were yesterday. Yesterday, you woke up and you told yourself all of who you are and all of what's possible for you. And your subconscious said, okay, because it doesn't care. It will do whatever it is you ask it to do. So if you have to leave notes by your bed, the first thing I want you thinking about when you wake up in the morning is, I'm getting out of school faster than anybody can imagine. I'm incredible to have come as far as I have already in this period of time, which means I'm exactly where I need to be to get to my goal, which is being out and reporting and being paid for it. Because I'm not doing anything different than a paid reporter. I'm showing up every day and material is coming at me that's not comfortable all the time that I have to struggle and push for. And I remember Carrie saying, even after 46 years of reporting, her days are like that because you never know the material that's going to come at you and you never know the speed that's going to come at you at. And so the only difference between where you are now and me is that I'm getting paid for it. So let's get you out of school, however that looks like for you, with you getting out of your own way because your perceived expectations of what's supposed to happen and when it's supposed to happen, because yeah, we're all control freaks. It's you trying to control something you can't control that is keeping you from getting the results that truly you would be getting if you would step out of your own way. It's allowing it to happen. It's going with the flow. Yeah, all that stuff that sounds like such bullshit, except it's true. We are all in a 3D world, and we keep thinking that the only way we can get from point A to point B is through time and space. The space between point A and point B, and the time it will take to get there. But that's not true at all, because only part of us is in the 3D world. Your body is. But the essence of you, the soul of you, the subconscious of you is up in such a higher realm and such a higher frequency that up there, some people say it's like being close to source, whatever you think source is. The closer you can get to source with your vibration and your constant mental machinations and your thought and your sound and your frequency and your words, the closer you can get to source, because up at source, everything happens instantaneously. That's where miracles come from. That's where instant healings happen. And we don't have to hit it, we just have to strive for it. How do we strive for it? It's a practice I call meditation, where you practice getting out of your body, you practice getting out of your identity, you practice getting as close in frequency to soul as to source as you can get, so that you know what that feels like. It's a practice. It's a program. And every time we can state an intention and release it, that it's not my body that's going to make it happen. I've done the physical work. It's not my body that's going to make it happen. It's not my mental thoughts that are going to make it happen. It's my true belief that it has already happened, that it can happen in an instant. And I don't have to spend the time to go from point A to point B, because my body is already primed to do it. It can happen instantaneously. Sounds like woo-woo, except it works. Magic for Court Reporters is all about using whatever it takes in a positive world to make it happen, which means allowing it to happen. I hope this has helped. If you have any questions, and there are never any wrong questions, get a hold of me. stenotherapy@gmail.com. That's my email. Or you can text me at 775-220-7999. If you text me, you're not going to be in my contacts, so please tell me your name and why you're contacting me. And I will do whatever I can do to help any serious, committed student out there. Love you guys. Take care.